federal government has literally caused an emergency in LA. Like that's the state that you guys are in, is you now have counties declaring an emergency because the federal government is abusing the people.
Hey, do you want to make the situation even worse?
What's that?
Do you want me to give you just information that's going to make your blood boil?
No.
That's unfortunate. You picked the show with me. So you could have picked anyone else, and once upon a time you tried. Where do I? Oh, I don't. Hold on. It's in my notes. One sec. Notepad. Open up. Should be the last. There we go. Okay, cool. So. Are you aware of something that happened recently in Portland involving ice?
Typed so many times. Is there something I can
I have not typed at all, Google Gemini. Fucking die.
I was wondering why you were playing sound to me. I'm aware of a few things that have happened recently in Portland.
Okay, so there was an incident in Portland, Oregon, where ICE attacked a protester and broke their collarbone. Now, again, this is not an unheard of phenomenon. ICE engaging in immense brutality to attack a person. This is not new. This happens a lot. But this situation, a little bit different. ICE breaks the person's collarbone and then drags the person to an ICE facility and then calls the ambulance to come to him. Okay? So ambulance gets there, and ICE, feeling all highty and mighty in their own fucking jurisdiction, tells the ambulance, the drivers, they are not allowed to leave unless the person that they have in their custody is with an ICE officer at all times. And the dude in the fucking ambulance is going, he has a broken collarbone? We need to get this person to the hospital now? Shut the fuck up. What are you even going on about? ICE officers then start calling in backup. This escalates to the point where there are 30 goddamn ICE officers surrounding the EMT and the ambulance. And I'm going to be honest, at this point, the Hippocratic Oath should have gone out the window. I feel like you should just start fucking running over the officers.
Oh, EMTs aren't doctors. They haven't taken that oath.
Oh, you know what? Even better. Even better. But after the point where 30 ICE guys have surrounded the EMT and will not let him leave the facility with the patient who needs to be treated, the end result of this is that EMT filing a report, which causes all of the emergency personnel to receive new guidelines regarding ICE facilities. All ICE facilities are now considered places that do not have what's called scene safety. Now, if anybody here has ever worked in first responder services, you know that if a place does not have scene safety, it is not a place where first responders are supposed to go. If a place does not have scene safety, you risk your first responders if they are not specifically responders who are literally paid to go into those high-risk situations. And for the most part, most EMTs are not that. So, if there is no scene safety, EMTs cannot go to a location. So in Portland, with no scene safety in ICE facilities, when ICE breaks people's collarbones, which is not a one-and-done thing, EMTs can't go anymore, or at least are heavily advised not to go anymore at all. This means ICE has effectively removed all first responders from being able to go into their own fucking facilities.
In Portland, at least. I assume that this is a
that's
county
in
by
Portland.
county thing.
That's in Portland, but that is a terrifying precedent to be set across multiple other cities and counties. That is horrifying, to say the least. So I'm not surprised when you say that, LA declares a state of emergency over the ICE raids, because we're seeing that shit.
They're causing an emergency.
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah, actually, LA's emergency seems less urgent than that, if I'm honest. Because what they're doing with their state of emergency is they're helping people who have been financially impacted, which is definitely important. It's stuff like people who are afraid to go to work because so many people from their work have been disappeared, can't pay their rent now. So they're being like, hey, this is an emergency. We've got a lot of people that can't pay their rent now because they're afraid to go to work because ICE keeps making people disappear from their job sites.
You know what's wild too? Speaking of that, like with ICE disappearing people from their job sites. So have you seen what the 1-2 punch has been to the U.S. agriculture industry?
I haven't heard it referred to in such a way, but I imagine that you're not going to say anything that surprises me.
All right, so punch number one is obviously the labor force being negatively affected, because a lot of our labor force in the agriculture industry is immigrants. Illegal or otherwise, it's immigrants. There can be a conversation about that in the comment section if y'all so care. That's entirely fine. But the fact of the matter is, we do have a labor crisis. We're there, but that is not the part that I want to focus on right now. The second punch is what we just did with, I think it's Argentina. So a bunch of text messages again got leaked out from Republicans who are in charge of our agriculture industry. Turns out President Trump tried to bail out Argentina, and
Was it Argentina or Venezuela?
I believe it's Argentina.
The $20 billion was Venezuela.
Okay, I'm talking about something different.
Okay.
Because what happened is, after doing so, Trump lifted his tariffs on this country.
Mm-hmm.
And when he did, it allowed that country to, trade more freely with the United States. But you know who we haven't lifted our tariffs on? China. So, what is one of the number one exports
soybeans
of the United States?
This is the soybean thing.
Yes, soybeans. We export soybeans, and we have a tariff on soybeans so high with China. China was our number one buyer.
Yeah.
And now they don't. They are now buying their soybeans from Argentina. So we fucked ourselves.
Maybe Argentina was the $20 billion one, because the soybean thing, I remember it was going to the same country as the same people that were selling soybeans to China was the same country that Trump is paying $20 billion to.
Yeah, it's Argentina. This is
okay.
This whole situation is a nightmarish look at how our economy functions now, because the reason tariffs function the way they do, the reason they can work is because they're stable. If you have a tariff that we expect to see over the next 20, 30 years, then the markets get to adjust to it, and that becomes the new norm, and they're able to function from that point forward. When the tariffs are instead used like a gun with a revolving chamber that's fucking random, which is what we're doing right now, then nobody wants to invest in any one thing in the market, because doing so is a major risk. Why would you agree to a trade deal with a country under a certain tariff amount when that number is going to fucking change overnight? It's safer to just not deal with the United States when you know that bullet can just rechamber at any fucking time.
That's actually why Canada's rekindled relationships with India, which under Trudeau, they kind of deteriorated when it was highly suspected that a Sikh activist was assassinated by India in Canada. Mm-hmm. So we were not on speaking terms with them for a while, but just recently has come out that Mark Carney has we're being friendly again, and we're talking trade and everything. It's like, you know what? India's got a lot of stuff that we want.
It's infuriating because it can't just be one thing, right? We've got to have the labor shortage on top of us fucking ourselves over economically by ruining things with our trade partners, and then trying to get in bed with other trade partners who then fuck us over because doing any deals with us is just a bad idea in the first place. Our deal making, as terrible as it has been, has left so much money on the table for other countries to take over. The United States' position as one of, if not the wealthiest nation in the world, is likely not going to be the fucking case here in the next 4 years.
Thank you for the hat, Jassa.
And
I decided to go flaps down today.
And it's all going to be on the toes of the guy who will never, ever, ever say that any of this was his fault.
Well, of course not.
How could any of this be Trump's fault? None of it's Trump's fault. Absolutely not. He had no control over what other countries were doing, despite the fact that their doings were directly influenced by him. How could any of this be Trump's fault? He had no control over the business deals of Argentina when us doing our shady shit with the tariffs the way we were doing is what directly led to them doing that. It's not his fault that we have a labor shortage in construction industries and agricultural industries, despite the fact that his way of operating ICE is exactly what has led to those things. None of this could be his fault.
Just despite the fact that Kamala's been going on tour with a big old "I told you so" everywhere she goes, mm-hmm. and you can find headlines talking about how Kamala's exaggerating how bad it's going to be, and then it turns out that no, it's exactly what she said. So yeah. Sean Helfand says, well, at least Donald is honest that he will never get into heaven. I mean, people like Trump are the reason why I actually kind of wish there was an afterlife. because I feel like he's just going to get away with it. He's going to die peacefully in his bed one day and have just lived large by scamming people for his entire life and just being a shitty human being that made life worse for everybody else. And so he is essentially going to get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for there to be a hell that Donald Trump could go to. Unfortunately, I'm an atheist. There is no hell. And that sucks. But just because it sucks doesn't mean it's not real. But yeah. So back to their state of emergency. A lot of it's because of the farmers not having workers, because the workers are either getting arrested by ICE or they're staying home because they don't want to get arrested by ICE. ICE raids have caused widespread fear and led to decreased attendance at workplaces, disruption of local economies, and strain on critical services such as schools, hospitals, and places of worship. A place of worship is not a critical service. Come on. Fuck off with that nonsense.
I'm actually gonna interject on that one. So, atheist, yes. I do not think that a place of worship is the most important thing in the world, but if you have looked into any of our not body of research, because that's not really the best way to put it, but any of the conversations that have been happening about third places right now, most people do not know how to construct a third place or how to find one or how to engage with the community. So a major aspect of people's mental health is having that community around them. For a lot of people, that community is coming from a place of worship. I know that we have the basic knee-jerk reaction that these places are predatory institutions, because in most cases they are, but they do still serve that purpose of giving people a place where they can be organized together. And a thing that I have been saying a lot here in Georgia is a lot of the progressive fighting is happening in the churches. We are seeing a lot of people who are organizing from church and then swelling from that way out. There's plenty of examples of the opposite as well. The Mormon church is being fucking shitty. We are, of course, seeing a ton of right-wing Christian nationalist nutcases doing their thing.
Oh, there's some tweets for that tonight.
But
I'm always guess the tweets.
But I'm also seeing plenty of the opposite here. When I've gone and either gone to protests or gone to town hall, any of that stuff, I am seeing church organizing being something that is happening more often than not. So I'm gonna be honest, I'm starting to be a little more sold on that idea of that as an essential thing, because for people, we need community, and we have eliminated so many of our methods to engage in a community that don't involve us spending money.
Yeah, so my disagreement here comes mostly from a matter of infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's not that there aren't secular alternatives to community or or charity work or any of the stuff that you've said. It's that the churches have a monopoly on the infrastructure for that.
Oh, I agree with you.
That's really hard to get out of that.
I agree with you. That's why I was saying this is more pushback and less disagreement.
Because on the research end of things, the secular versions of the things that religion is supposed to do generally do a better job of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, churches run food banks. And it sucks that churches run food banks, because food banks are run better when they're run by nonprofits. But I know churches are technically nonprofits, but you know what I mean.
But then you run into the other side of that coin, which is that more often than not, the church, and this speaks to your point on monopoly. More often than not, that infrastructure is being helmed by churches. More often than not, that infrastructure is being...
So this is where I would say socialism comes in, because the thing is, churches have that extra mechanism there where they can say, you need to give 10% of your income, otherwise God is not going to bless you. Mm-hmm. And so you have people that actually believe that, being like, okay, well, I can't afford to donate, so I'm just going to donate, but I'm just going to donate anyway, because I can't afford not to, because God's going to get mad at me if I don't. If these things were funded by the government, instead of your fucking massive military, then that wouldn't be an issue.
I agree.
It would just be done. It would be done better.
I do agree. My only problem that I run into is what happens when we cut off the nose to spite the face, effectively, when we go, hey, this shouldn't be this way. And we can both agree it shouldn't be this way. And our reaction is, then let's go ahead and change it, but we don't manage to change it insofar as getting the infrastructure set up secularly and getting rid of the monopoly from the churches. We just get rid of the churches part.
This is where my pessimism makes me the winner, because I don't have the confidence that any advocacy that I do against churches being the organizations that do these sorts of things having any large-scale impact whatsoever.
I mean, it's
so
not
I can say whatever the fuck I want, and everything's just going to stay the same.
I can understand that perspective. And it's not an incorrect perspective to take, because it's 100% pragmatic. It's, hey, what's my material? What's the side effect of me saying things? What's the material result in the world? Nothing. Okay, I can say anything. Like I get that. I do.
Well, I mean, on the flip side, I do have an annual fundraiser, which is coming up soon, by the way, where we have, over the course of a few years, raised over $80,000 for my local food bank. And while my local food bank does occasionally partner with churches to do things like run the homeless shelter, they are not run by a church.
Which is good.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I chose them. Because they do a lot of good in our community, and they are not religiously affiliated. But they also do things with churches when churches are willing to play nicely.
My only concern is, let's say we have the world where you get one thing. And that...
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. Jassa says, I disagree. You both, TT and Aaron, were the biggest factors in making me a radical Antifa socialist communist soy boy cuck. You're welcome.
Well, Jassa, I'm happy to have cucked you. But like in the world where you get one thing, do you choose removing the church's monopoly on these good things, or do you choose building the infrastructure and going from there? I think it's more important to build the infrastructure than it is to take it away.
Same thing.
So technically they are, but there's a segment of
one has to be done first.
There's a segment of the angry atheist community, and it's the newly deconverteds or the people whose entire lives revolve around spite, who would rather make sure that
that was a polite way of saying no illusions without saying no illusions.
I actually don't know what that is.
You don't know who No Illusions is?
No, I don't.
Oh my god. He is the Scathing Atheist. That's his original podcast was The Scathing Atheist.
Oh,
that
okay.
Is his whole
Never
thing.
mind. I know who you're talking about now.
Okay.
I have him as a friend on Facebook. I know who you're talking about now. I was thinking like No Illusions.
Yeah, that's the point of his name.
Okay. But there is a segment of the atheist community who I don't think many of them are part of my channel anymore, because they would have long since left me after several statements I've made, who would rather disassemble the entire church infrastructure as it exists than build something up, simply because it feels better to do that and it is easier to destroy than it is to build. We're seeing
how well that's working with your government right now.
Yeah, definitely. I do not think that any of those people are actively a part of my community. Maybe once upon a time they might have been. And once upon a time, I might have been the person who said that specifically. Oh, when the churches do it, it's X, Y, and Z, so we need to dismantle that and not actually have the conversation about building. I do agree that both need to happen. You need to make sure that there are more secular versions of this around, and also find ways to call into question the church's handling of these things being everybody's like societal default.
Yeah. Okay. Back to the emergency. That was kind of related, but he says
it was related to the exact words. We ADHD'd on it.
We did, but it was all related because of the considering places of worship and essential service. That, they're doing rent relief for tenants who have fallen behind as a result of the ICE raids, and money for legal aid and other services are among the provisions in the declaration. So not just rent relief, but they're also paying for lawyers for the people who have been arrested. Sorry, not arrested. For the people who have been disappeared, for all intents and purposes. Mm-hmm. Declaring a local emergency ensures that the full weight of the county government is aligned to support our immigrant communities who are being targeted by federal actions. So, yeah. LA had to declare an emergency to protect itself from the government.
It's terrifying.
Where are all the NRA people at who are all like, oh, we need the Second Amendment to protect our rights from government overstep?
They never were going to do it in the first place.
Government's fucking overstepping all over the place. They are treading all the fuck over you fucking libertarian nut jobs.
Yep. There's one of two scenarios.
Put your money where your mouth is. Put your money where your mouth is.
One of two scenarios are at play there. Scenario one, they simply don't know that everything bad is happening in the world. Scenario 2, they don't consider
They're the
what's
guys
happening
wearing
in the
the
world
masks and
bad.
joining ICE.
Yep, Scenario 2, this is exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
You get that Richard Spencer type shit where when asked directly if he supports the First Amendment, if he supports free speech, he's like, well, no, I don't, but I have to say that I do. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.